Space Jam: A New Legacy. Oh my gosh, where do I begin? Now, put it like this. I didn't hate this movie like everyone else did. It's people that just completely despised it, that started watching it. My brother started watching it, turned it off after a certain amount of time. And I know it's a lot of people that felt that way. It's a lot of people that probably didn't even watch it because they are, oh, well, I love the original and it's not going to be as good because it has LeBron James. Or, you know, you got people like that. Fuck them people. Whatever. I'm watching it after giving it a chance. I didn't have high expectations for this movie, but I didn't also think that it was going to be revolutionary. And I was completely right about this. It was not revolutionary. This movie, just like Black Widow, had no reason for it existing. They could have just left the regular Space Jam or even just rebooted it. And it probably would have been better. But to make it a sequel, it made no sense. The plot for the villain, for why he's doing what he's doing, Don Cheadle, love you, man. Love you as an actor. You are great. You are fantastic. But this was not the role for you. This was just horrible. Horrible. This movie, it just really has no... okay, I could say some good things about it for me. I did enjoy it. Let me put it like that. I enjoy some of the scenes where they go in and they're doing recruiting and they come across different WB characters and all that stuff. That was cool. That was enjoyable. I did like that. The game, picking out the people in the crowd, that was cool. I enjoyed that. It did have some funny parts that I did find myself laughing to. Not crazy going LOL laughing out loud, but it did have some points where I'm like, okay, that was funny, you know, whatever. Not all of them. A lot of the jokes and stuff is hit or miss, and mainly miss, but I did have some points where I did enjoy it, and it did have some entertainment for me. You know, I didn't hate it, but I most definitely did not love it at all. Most definitely, love would not be a way to explain it. LeBron James just is a horrible actor in this movie. He's just horrible. Now, given the first Space Jam isn't a masterpiece, we all love it because we grew up with it. It's nostalgic. This movie is kind of going off of that. And even though Michael Jordan wasn't a great actor in that movie, and I know a lot of you people be like, oh man, the first Space Jam was good and all this stuff. Yeah, it has a lot of good qualities as compared to this shit. But go back and rewatch the first Space Jam movie and tell me that that is a great movie. It's not. It's a guilty pleasure at the most. It is a guilty pleasure. It's a nostalgic guilty pleasure movie. It is not a great movie. But that's no reason why this movie should not have been better. LeBron James, yes, he's horrible. In the voice acting point where he turned into a cartoon and even in live action, he's horrible. He's not a great actor. He's not. And this movie is very meta. Like I said, it's more of an advertisement for Warner Brothers as it goes into a lot of the Warner Brothers properties. From the Justice League, Wonder Woman, Superman, Harry Potter, Rick and Morty. Literally, it is just an advertisement for Warner Brothers and all of their just IPs. And it's very reminiscent. If you guys ever seen the movie Ready Player One, which is a way better movie that I think you guys should check out. That's a movie that's worth watching. That is somewhat of an advertisement, but at the same time, it comes off better. That's a movie worth checking out. It reminds me of Ready Player One, but not as good as that movie at all. And like I said, I did like the recruiting process when they're going to all the different IPs, from just DC to the Matrix to Mad Max to all that stuff, and recruiting the tunes and everything else. But I don't know, I guess this is me personally, because Michael Jordan really didn't have anything behind the scenes to do with the first Space Jam movie. He was just put into it through somebody else's idea. This movie has LeBron James as a producer. His company, Braun, is responsible for this movie being made. and it feels like he had to stroke his ego on this. Now, I get the first movie kind of sort of like that. Michael Jordan be the best basketball player of all time. We gotta get him to play the. But when you have a lot to do with the project that's boosting your ego, it doesn't look the same. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just a nitpick from me. I didn't necessarily find it bad, but I just found it kind of off-putting. Maybe, it was just like, okay, maybe it's gonna come off a certain type of way. But one of the things that was very distracting, like when all the spectators were coming to watch the game, and they're all around, like you have all of Warner Brothers characters in the last game. I barely remember what was going on because of the simple fact that while the court is surrounded by all these Warner Brothers characters, I found myself more interested with who's in the crowd. Oh, that's Penguin. That's the Mask. That's it. That's King Kong. That's this character. Oh, and I'm just looking to see who else am I like gonna see. And I don't know if they thought that out, but that is very distracting from just what you're supposed to be focusing on in the movie. And I don't think that they really did think that out. I really don't think that they really thought that out really real good. I don't think that. But it does have some decent Looney Tune humor. But overall, the humor, like I said, it's just mainly a miss. And the mode, I already talked about that. I'm looking at my notes. I've already talked about the motivation of the villain, which is horrible. It does go for the emotional standpoint, which is kind of good, but it also makes the movie very predictable, especially with the game itself. It's very reminiscent to how the game concludes. It's very reminiscent to the first film. I don't know if anybody really picked that up, but it is very reminiscent to the first film of, and I'm not really going to give away anything, even though I just, whatever. I don't really recommend you even watch this movie if you haven't. But it's very reminiscent to how that game concludes. It's similar to how the first movie game concluded. But one of the big things that I didn't notice until after really sitting with the movie and everything else is that there is no space in Space Jam: A New Legacy. Within the first film, you had aliens coming from outer space, so it made sense. Space Jam, alien space, blah, blah, blah. But this movie has nothing to do with space in anything. It's like all the characters are from the computer. Everybody else is from the main world. Why is this called Space Jam? I don't think that they thought this out. I really don't think that they thought this out. And then on top of that, since this is a sequel and not a reboot, because they do have references to the first film with having the Monstars in there, the Monstars aliens or whatever, they do make a quick cameo, and I mean quick, like 2 seconds on screen. That's how quick it is. They don't have any type of major role in there. But in the first movie, the Looney Tunes come from underground. They come from deep inside the earth. That's where Looney Tunes land and everything is. It doesn't make sense when you look at the overall thing of just Looney Tunes, but they come from underground. In this movie, they're inside the computer. It makes no sense. The continuity is completely off. You have no space in Space Jam: A New Legacy, and then on top of that, the continuity with where the Tunes are and why the bad guy did this and it's just it's not a great movie, not at all. I didn't hate it like everyone else did, but I understand their hatred for it. And I didn't dismiss it because I'm used to Space Jam and all that stuff, and this can't do it. No, I gave it a chance. I went to it with an open mind, and it really disappointed me. And another thing that you will witness is that the soundtrack isn't as prevalent as it was within the first film. Like, the soundtrack is great with the first film. I mean, honestly, this is where you get the song "I Believe I Can Fly." One of the biggest, basically the biggest song off of that soundtrack, besides that We gotta get up. It's time to jam now. We got a real jam going down. Welcome to this. You know, besides that shit and like all the like a whole bunch of other films. I mean, a whole bunch of other songs. This it really don't have a great soundtrack. I think a little bit before they tried to boost the soundtrack, but it wasn't working. Like I don't know, but when it comes down to it, this is a movie that you guys can definitely skip. If you had no intentions on watching this movie for whatever reason, whether it's you like the first, you love the first one, they shouldn't have made the second one, you don't want to watch it. Cool. Or you seen the trailer, it doesn't look appealing to you, whatever. Or you just ain't had a chance to watch it yet. You know, you don't have HBO Max, or you just busy and you couldn't sit down and watch it, or you just don't have time to go to the show. I'll just say skip it. You don't need to watch it. Go back and watch the original again. It's not great, but at least it's better than this film, I can say. Both of them are, if you like them, guilty pleasures, but the first one, hands down, is the better film. Hands down. But, yeah, so